Superman is back, but somehow Warner Brothers managed to make this into bad news. So it was recently announced that Henry Cavill will be returning to the role as Superman, and I couldn't be happier about that. Henry Cavill is an absolute king. He is my ultimate man crush. And I don't mean that in the, ooh, choke me daddy Cavill kind of way, but more in the, gosh, I would love to go out for a beer with that guy kind of a way. Consider it as high up on my bucket list for me to share a firm handshake with Henry Cavill. That would just be the manliest thing that anyone has ever done, and that is exactly the kind of person that I want to see playing Superman. I think Henry Cavill is basically what every man wants to be, and that's kind of what Superman is supposed to be. It's supposed to be that ideal to strive towards. Anyway, getting uncomfortable here. Yeah, I'm super thrilled that Warner Brothers has got Henry Cavill back as Superman, but there is a catch, as there always is. Because nothing in 2020 can ever be completely good news. So while Henry Cavill will be returning as Superman, it will be to make appearances in other films in the DC Extended Universe, such as Shazam 2, probably the Black Adam movie, maybe James Gunn's Suicide Squad, so basically these studio-mandated cameos. But there are no plans at this current moment for a new Superman movie, and Warner Brothers have provided us with a reason for this, stating that a new Superman movie could be a really good film, it could be really exhilarating, but at this time, it just doesn't seem likely that the film would be successful enough to justify making. And to think I thought things were looking up for DC. So Superman, one of the most iconic and beloved characters in the history of fiction, has now been relegated to cameo status because they don't believe he could make money? You mean to tell me that in the peak of superheroes' mainstream popularity, even then they don't think Superman could perform successfully? Well, when is he supposed to then? So question one is, how are they going to make his cameos in other superhero films feel organic to the storyline? Is it literally just going to be that he just kind of drops in to say hello? You've got this amazing character and that's all they're doing with him? There is absolutely no reason whatsoever as to why a Superman movie should not be successful. Let's put things into perspective. Aquaman, a character comic book nerds have made fun of for decades, had his very first film come out in 2018, and it was a box office smash hit, bringing in more than $1 billion at the box office. And they don't think a Superman movie's worth making. Shazam brought in $366 million at the box office, which is a modest success, and yet they feel the need to make a Shazam 2 as well as a Black Adam spin-off movie, but no Superman sequel? After Man of Steel made double that? Now do bear in mind that Shazam cost half as much to make as Man of Steel did, but in that case, there's really very little difference in the profit margin. While Suicide Squad had a fairly decent box office taking, the film is an absolute narrative black hole that's developed a reputation since, for being of an absolutely piss-poor quality. But Warner Brothers insisted on following that up with Birds of Prey, which barely made anything, and now they're gonna follow it up with a brand new experience called The Suicide Squad. Yeah, you didn't like the previous Suicide Squad movie, so we've added the word "the" to it. Now you're definitely going to want to watch it. It's clearly very different. Now, I'm not saying that James Gunn's Suicide Squad is going to be a bad movie or anything, but I'm just saying if people didn't like Suicide Squad, then they're probably not gonna go see The Suicide Squad. Unless they're comic book geeks that are just that desperate for a good Suicide Squad movie. But it's like, really? They've got more faith in a Suicide Squad film than they have a Superman movie? Now again, it's all about proportions, and proportionately, Zack Snyder's Superman entries didn't make as much money as, say, later entries into the DC Extended Universe. Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, while they were successful movies, they underperformed considering the brand IPs they were working with. I would imagine Warner Brothers had much higher predictions for how much these films would take in than what they actually did in the end. And I would imagine that Justice League flopping would have been the final nail in the coffin for that. But they are learning all the wrong lessons here. These films did not underperform because of Superman as a character. It has nothing to do with Superman as a character. Same goes for Ben Affleck's Batman. It has nothing to do with Henry Cavill in the role. What it boils down to is they wanted to make these tentpole action blockbusters that everybody would enjoy, and they got a very niche director to do that. And while in my geeky opinion, Zack Snyder turned in some absolutely stellar work for the DC Extended Universe, it's clear to see that these are not mainstream success popcorn action blockbusters that are going to leave people walking away feeling happy. If you take a very niche, very stylized, love it or hate it director and get him to make a movie and then try and edit it back into a mainstream blockbuster, it doesn't work, and that's why these films were not very successful. What people didn't like about Batman v Superman wasn't Superman or Henry Cavill, it was the fact that the film was clearly missing chunks of it, and that these were very specific takes on these characters that didn't match the general opinion of what these characters are supposed to be. What people didn't like about Justice League was that it was this patchwork of mythical action of biblical proportions that Zack Snyder usually delivers, with a feel-good kid-friendly blockbuster just slapped onto it. And the fact that Warner Brothers are blaming this onto Superman proves that they are learning all the wrong lessons. The lesson to be learned here is if they want to make a crowd-pleasing mainstream blockbuster, make a crowd-pleasing mainstream blockbuster. Get a director that does crowd-pleasing mainstream blockbusters. Get script writers that can write crowd-pleasing fun scripts. Have families and children in mind from the get-go. Don't get a writer and director to make an R-rated, gritty, stylized biblical thriller and then try to edit it back into a crowd-pleasing mainstream movie. And it just has me wondering, where the fuck is the common sense among these Warner Brothers executives? With Aquaman, they made a crowd-pleasing family blockbuster, and it pulled in crowd-pleasing family blockbuster money. All they have to do is do the same with Superman. Have the studio mandate the more optimistic and hopeful version of Superman that people wanted to see from the get-go, and then find a director that can work within that. And it wouldn't have to be a full reboot, because Batman v Superman and Man of Steel were all about Clark's early years as Superman. He was very insecure about finding his place on Earth. Now that that story's been told, you can develop him into the more hopeful, more confident version of Superman. It's a win-win. You give the audience the version of Superman that they want to see, and it complements the films that came before it. See? That wasn't so hard. And then you promote it as such. It's not that Superman is hard to promote. Man of Steel and Batman v Superman had really strong opening weekends. It was word of mouth and reviews that brought this down. So all they have to do is make a feel-good Superman movie that is more along the lines of what the audience will want, get a director that's more willing to play it safe, and then just kind of promote it as such, and then hopefully the momentum from the opening weekend will sustain. Now look, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Zack Snyder's take on Superman, and I would be over the moon if I heard that Zack Snyder would be coming back to direct. But if Warner Brothers' key concerns are financial, which is a surprise to no one, it really doesn't need to be as difficult as they're making it. Shazam made approximately $300 million at the box office. What makes Shazam successful is the fact that it's also pretty low budget. You could make a good Superman movie on that kind of budget. It doesn't have to be as big as a Zack Snyder film. The threat level doesn't necessarily have to be as high as it was in Man of Steel. You could do a much more character-based story for Superman, which is something I think people would love to see. So if they are really so concerned about making their money back, I would say slash the budget down to what it was with Shazam. And then Superman is at an advantage anyway over Shazam because he's much more of a household name than Shazam was at that time. I mean, you've got to consider, not every single Marvel Studios film takes home close to $1 billion at the box office. But these films are still successful, and they're not always necessarily dealing with household names characters. As well as that, some of those Marvel films don't necessarily aim particularly high with their budgets either. You could make a really good Superman movie on a budget of $100 million. I've seen people make terrific Superman movies with no budget. Bottom line, I just think it's piss poor how little confidence Warner Brothers has in this iconic household name character. And okay, I've got a little bit of personal bias because I don't want a Suicide Squad sequel. I never asked for a Birds of Prey Harley Quinn movie. To be quite honest, I'm getting a bit of Batman fatigue as well. I just really want a new Superman movie, preferably a follow-up to Man of Steel with Henry Cavill in the role. The best case scenario for myself would be if they even got Zack Snyder back to direct, but I don't think that would be a very financially clever decision. Unless Zack Snyder's Justice League is an absolute splash on HBO Max, then it's a different story. The silver lining is, at least we're not completely without a Superman in the DC Extended Universe now. And I understand that the DC Extended Universe is focusing more on standalone stories. I just hope that maybe someday we will get another crack at a Justice League. So I think if Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max is well received, maybe DC might pick up the confidence to start moving gradually more in that direction again. Even if they don't do it with Zack Snyder and these films are made more for crowd-pleasing popcorn blockbuster purposes. Obviously, they'd also need to recast Batman, but, you know, baby steps. What do you think, guys? Comment below and discuss, and as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, why don't you head over to channelpup.net, where you can visit our blog page Dr. Blogtopus, but you can also buy merch, such as the official Channel Pup replica hoodie. And I mean, if you insist here, guys, maybe hit subscribe, maybe hit the like button, and in the description below are the links to my social media handles, including the Patreon, where your contribution can help me run this channel and really keep it alive. That aside, I am really grateful that you checked out this video today. Thank you so much for watching, fellow home dog. See you on another video.